So this is what we'll need for our project today. Everyone should have a paper bag full of their wool stuffing, so we'll use that a little bit later. We need a template for our flowers. All the colored felt will be for our flowers later, so you can put that off to the side. And you've got a bobbin with a needle for your cactus, a little clay pot, and 2 cactus pieces. So what we're going to start with first is the straight stitches on our cactus. So we're going to use the white thread first. So the first thing we'll need to do is thread our needle with some white thread. And then we're going to switch to the green thread to sew around the outside of our cactus, stuff it, stitch up the bottom, and then we'll go on to the flowers at the end. So put your pot in a safe spot since it's breakable. We'll also need a pencil later as well. So if you have one nearby, as well as some scissors, they'll come in handy later. So put those off to the side for now. That's our little cactus plant. And we're going to start with our straight stitches. So first thing to do is to get your needle and thread and get some white thread on there. So get your needle, pull it out of your bobbin, and what we're going to do is use about an arm's length of thread. So just hold your thread in between your Peter pointer and your thumb and pull it along up to your shoulder. So my arm is probably quite a bit longer than yours. We're going to double it. So just pull that there. And we're going to cut that thread there. Then get your needle and just do the best. I tend to just pinch it in between my fingers and then push it through, and got it the first time. So get your 2 ends together and I'll show you a trick to tying the knot on your needle and thread. So hold the 2 ends together. You're going to take your tails between your Peter pointer and your thumb, wrap it once around, and then use your thumb to roll it off of your finger and then just pull. And that creates a nice big knot there. All right, so we are ready. Everyone's got their needle doubled, nice big knot at the end. We're going to start with some straight stitching on our cactus to make the little prickles. The thing with this is that part of it will be hidden inside our pot. So if you look at it like this, so you can start about halfway up. You don't need to do prickles down at the bottom like I've done, because you won't see them, so it doesn't really matter too much. So we're going to start about halfway up. So just pick your side, and then we're always going to start from the back. So I'm going to start about halfway up. You don't have any markings. It's going to be totally random. It doesn't matter as long as you start in the back and end in the back. That's perfect. So we want to do some stitches that are about length of a grain of rice. So not too big, but also not super tiny. So I'm just going to go down for my first one and pull it all the way. And then for my second one, it's going to be a little bit random. So just go a little bit over. The trick with this is not to pull it too tight that your cactus gets all squished up. So just hold it nice and flat. And just keep going. I like to just go across kind of in rows. So I've done 2 there, and then I'm going to go down and do maybe 1 here, 1 here, go up and try to stagger them a little bit and just work my way across in sort of random rows. And we're just going to keep going like that. So the only trick to this part is to just keep your cactus nice and flat and don't pull your thread too tight. So this one, I'll just go a little bit up so you can see they're like a little bit staggered. I go down on my next one. There we go. And I'm going to just keep going up. So my next row is like a little bit above these ones, but it can be totally random. You can do them closer together or further apart. We're just making some kind of zigzag straight stitches as we go across. On these two parts, I'm going to do this side first, and then I'll have to knot it, and then I'll jump back over and then do this side of the cactus. So just choose which way you want to go first, and we'll just work our way over. So do another one over here. There's quite a lot more stitching in this project than the mouse one, so I hope that was like good practice for today. And I'll go over here, just take my time, keep going along. It's quite simple stitching, but I think it's quite effective for the little print. I'm going to work my way back this way and just keep them spaced out, not too close to the edge. So I'll do another one down here. There we go. And then I'm going to start to head up into this part of the cactus. Oops. Have to watch out that you don't get tangled around your piece of cactus there. There we go. So pick which arm you're going to go up first and just go through there, still doing these kind of staggered straight stitches. Just like that. I find when I'm sewing like a bigger piece, like with the mice, for example, it was really easy to hold them in your hand while you were stitching. But when I find I'm sewing like a bigger piece of fabric, I tend to just keep it on the table and then just lift up the section that I'm working on. And that'll be a bit, will be handy when we're sewing around the outline and we've got big pieces to stitch together. So I'll do another one over here. And I think I'm nearly done this side. I think that's pretty good. So if you've either finished your thread or you've done one side, look at the back is a little bit messy, but luckily we won't see that. If you've done one side of your cactus, you're working your way there, I'll show you how to finish your thread. So there's a few ways to do it. We don't have any little stitches nearby. So one way to do it is to just use the tip of your needle to just pick up a little bit of the felt. So I haven't gone through to the front, you don't see it, but I've just picked up a little tiny bit of the felt. And I'm going to pull that, but instead of pulling it tight, I'm going to just sew through that loop and it makes a little knot there. So I'll do that twice. So I'll just pick up again a little tiny bit of felt and just check I haven't gone through the front. So, and then when I pull that, I'm going to sew back through the loop. There we go. And once I've done 2 of those knots, I can just cut it. And I don't cut it right down to the knot. I leave a little tiny tail. And I've got enough thread on here. Just tie another knot. I could do a couple more cactus prickles. So if you've done one arm, you can just hop over and do the other arm. So I'll just use the rest of the thread that I've got here and then keep going up this side. And just zigzag across. As you go. So my thread is getting a bit short, so I'm going to change it again. So you just pick up a little bit of felt. Oops, my thread is a bit too short to get it through the loop there, so just do my best. And if your thread is too short, you can always just cut it near the needle and tie a double knot. Just like that. Perfect. And then when you're ready to get more white thread, I don't need too much, I don't think, to make those last prickles. So I'm going to want to make sure we leave a little bit for the flowers. So I'll get some here. And I just try to thread my needle. It either goes in really quick the first time or it takes ages to get it through. There we go. And then I'll show you the knot. So just wind it round once and roll it off your finger. And then you've got a nice big knot at the end. How's everyone cactuses coming along? Nice and prickly looking. Just keep going up. If you get a little knot, it's probably just because the thread has gotten twisted. So you can usually just pull it out or gently tug it and the knot will unwind itself. But if you get a more serious knot, you can always just cut it and knot your thread on the back. I think I jinxed it. I got a knot here. It's just a twist. So pull that through. There we go. There we go. Just keep going with your prickles. A few more at the top here. And I think I'll just do one more here on the side. There we go. And if you finished your prickles, your back should look a little bit like this, quite messy. And then you can, if you have enough thread, you can pick up the felt, like I showed you before. And we'll keep this thread for later and just sew through your loop for later for doing the flowers and stuff. So, and I'll show you, I've got a few other samples that I made through the years, and I'll show you some of my other cactus plants and a few other ways you can do them. So there we go. So these are some of my other plants. So one idea you could do, this one used to be glued into a pot because the kids were always taking it away. So that's why it's got hot glue gun there. But you could also do little V stitches instead of the straight ones if you were to make another cactus plant. So that's another idea. Little V's. And this one's got a little pom-pom flower instead of a felt flower, which is quite cute. So these are my little cactus plants that live at the studio with me. So once we've got all our prickles nice and flat, you can check the back.